Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got the Cyelee Cat X Pro sitting on this Ruger Max 9. Like some of the other Cyelee Optics we've had sent to us, this one has some really cool quality features. Comes with a little cover. Some do, some don't in the industry. It's a well-constructed thick rubber cover. It's not really flimsy, and it fits on, if I put it on correctly, it fits on easily and solid, and it's easy to get off. But it holds on there, so it's not going to fall off while you're running around with it. It's an aluminum housing, glass lens. This is an upgraded version of their original Cat, so it has a thicker lens, and it has really good reticles. It's got 3 reticles. I think it's turned off. It's got 3 reticles. Of course, cameras hate red dots, but I did figure out a way to get this camera to film red dots, so I'm going to kind of cut in while I'm talking. It's got 3 reticles that you can choose from. A 2 MOA individual dot, and then you can also get a circle reticle with a dot in the circle. So you can choose between the various things. And it looks like I may have touched the glass. There's a little bit of something on the glass. That wasn't there when I was filming the reticles. But it does have a really good set, defined, crisp reticle, and you'll see from the cut-in that I did, the reticles are really easy to see. It's got 10 brightness levels, 8 of them are daytime. You can adjust those with the up and down. You also use the plus button you hold the plus button for 3 seconds to switch between the reticles, but 2 of those 10 are actually night vision friendly. So if you're using a red dot with a night vision setup, the 2 lower settings work well with it. Its adjustment is click as opposed to just tension, which means it's a positive fixed adjustment. Now this particular one, I slapped it on this Ruger and it was already zeroed. Now that's kind of a fluke. It's kind of hard for a manufacturer to zero red dots from the factory for every gun you'll ever put it on. But I didn't have to zero this one. I put it on the gun, took it to the range, fired my shot, it was good, fired another shot just to verify it was still good, so I was zeroed out of the box. The aluminum housing is going to help it stay solid and hold zero. It's also IPX7 waterproof and drop resistant. So it's a durable optic. And one thing I've seen with these Cyelee Optics, they've all been really solid. They've all worked on the first try. They've all been easy to zero, and once zeroed, they've stayed zeroed. And that's kind of an important thing. Talking about staying zeroed, this little tray, you take the screw out, the battery's in this tray, as opposed to underneath it like a lot of them are. So, and I've seen this with all the Cyelee Optics with the battery in this tray. That means when the battery goes dead, it's got about a 50,000 hour life. When the battery goes dead, you can change the battery without having to re-zero. Pull the tray out, swap the battery, put the tray back in, you're back in business. That feature I really like. Of course, it has shake awake, like most optics do these days. You can lock it in the off position, or you can leave it on and it'll turn itself off after a period of inactivity. And then when you pick it up, by the time you can have it up where you're looking at it, it's back running again. The window on this is a decent size, but this is a smaller optic meant to be put on smaller guns. It's a 0.86 by 0.65 inch window. So it's not a tiny window, but it's a small enough window that it can kind of have a very trim footprint. You notice this is a Max 9, which is actually a relatively thin gun, and it sits flush with the side of the gun. Hangs out just a hair at the front, but the back of it sits flush. So this optic isn't going to add much width to your gun, nor is it going to add much weight. Overall, it's a perfect type size optic for a smaller pocket size pistol. It's the RMRSC Holosun 407K, Holosun 507K footprint. It'll fit anything with that footprint. And as far as putting it on this Ruger, the Ruger is a direct mount. It's a plateless setup. And I didn't even need to use the pins that came with the Ruger. This mounted it with the front pins that were on the Ruger to begin with, and the screws. This mounted up solid with the screws that came with it. And when I talk about screws, it comes with these baggies. It comes with a bunch of these little baggies of screws. They're labeled clearly as to their size and dimensions, and makes it really easy to find the right size screw to mount. Most people don't have a little tray of assorted screws, so having them come with the optic is really useful. And if you happen to be a newbie to optics, they provide a card that gives you a really good idea of how to zero this optic. If you zeroed at the particular distance, what'll happen when you shoot at other distances. Obviously 25-yard zero is the optimal zero, but most people don't shoot at that distance. A lot of people are going to shoot at 10 yards, and now you can see what the hold over and hold under is going to be depending on what distance you're shooting at. If you're an expert in optics, you wouldn't necessarily need that. But the one thing I'm finding with these is they're coming packaged without assuming you're an armorer or an expert. They're coming packaged so that the chances of you being successful in mounting the optic on the gun that you want to mount it on, as long as the gun is compatible, the chances are high. I've had really good luck easily mounting these Cyelee Optics on whatever gun it was I happened to pick. And this Ruger Max 9 with its blackout rear sight is really a good candidate for that. So I mentioned the multi-reticle. I mentioned it's waterproof. It's got an MSRP at $235, which is relatively inexpensive. If you buy it on their Amazon storefront, they did give us a discount code to share with you. It's called Hammer X10, and it's on our affiliates page. We can't put it in the description because YouTube doesn't allow that, but it's on our affiliates page. So you can get 10% off that, but that only works on their Amazon storefront. It doesn't work on their website. But overall, what I've found with these Cyelee Optics is the quality has been very high. They've all worked on the first try. I haven't had to send one back. I haven't had to tweak or tune or fix one. I've taken them out of the box. I've mounted them with the screws that came with it, taken them to the range. Most of the time you have to zero a little bit because, again, they can't figure out every gun combination that you can put it on. But once I've gotten these things zeroed, they stay that way. And that's really important. A lot of optics these days tend to drift, especially when you're less expensive optics. These are having features of more expensive optics in a less expensive optic. Thank you again, Cyelee, for sending this for a review. If you've got a smaller pocket type pistol that you're looking for a small optic, this Cat X Pro is a good candidate. If you've got a bigger gun, check out the Bold X Pro that we did a week or so ago. And we've had a couple different Cyelee optics, and I probably will continue to accept these Cyelee optics and review them because I haven't had a bad one yet. If I have a bad one, you'll know just as well as I do because I'll share it, but it hasn't happened yet. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell to get notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.